Hey Cats and Kittens, it's Kitten Pop. I am here on my very first video and I'm so excited that you guys are here with me. I am an Etsy shop owner and I make a lot of knickknacks and trinkets and stuff like that for my shop specifically, but I wanted to start a YouTube channel so that I could share some of that knowledge with you guys. As the channel is called Kitten Pop Creations, we're going to be creating all kinds of things in this channel, not just what I sell in my shop. Sometimes maybe we'll do a little cooking class, maybe sometimes we'll do some art, but it's all going to be creations and variations of things that we enjoy doing, just little things that you can do at home, something real quick, but it's all going to be creative. I really want this channel to be a creative environment for you guys. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and let's get started. So one of the first things that we need to do is make sure that our pretty clothes do not get ruined. So I'm going to be putting on my apron and I will be right back. So I'm back and I have my apron on, so I'm feeling very good because I can wipe my hands on everything. I also have a little towel with me because I am messy. So today what we're going to be making are these little lollipops. Now they are made out of lollipop sticks and real candies, but we're going to be using resin, and it's a two-part resin, which means you have to mix it. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Most resins are a 1-to-1 ratio. You can get any kind that you like. I like this one because it's a little bit cheaper, and when I go to Michael's I can always use the 40% discount on it because we are in the market of saving money, right? Crafting shouldn't be so expensive. So also I'm going to be needing my popsicle sticks. To mix my resin I need real popsicle sticks. Then today, we're going to be using candy sprinkles, and of course, everybody's favorite M&ms. Now, my kids asked me one time, Mom, why do you use real candies in your crafts? And I told them, because why would I spend $12 on a bottle of clay M&ms when I could buy the real ones for 75 cents? Why would I spend $12 on a bottle of these clay sprinkles when this one's like $1.25, and there's a lot more in here. Plus, with resin, it seals it, so you don't have to worry about it getting too hot or melting or anything like that. It's solid. It's not going anywhere, and it's not going to melt. So the next thing we need are cups for our resin. Now, it's going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. Remember that. You can always measure it through a measuring cup, or if you have a weight scale for food, you can always do it by ounces and weigh it and see how much it weighs. That way you'll know more or less that it's going to be even. Let's go ahead and pour us some resin. Oh, and of course you need the mold. This is a silicone mold that I got off of Amazon. I'll try and link it below if I remember. I'm also going to have my Etsy shop link below so you guys can kind of check out what I make. This one's silicone and I love silicone. I do have other molds that are not silicone and they are really a lot harder to get out, big time. So the silicone's always the easiest. It doesn't necessarily leave this shine though. There's a lot of glossy shimmer on this one, as you can see, and I have a lot of glitter in here too. But that you have to do later, and we'll go into that in just a second. I make a lot of resin crafts in my store because I absolutely love playing with resin. It is one of my favorite mediums. In this channel we're going to have other mediums and stuff like that to play with as well, but for today we're using resin. Now remember, it is a 1-to-1 ratio, so I'm going to kind of eye it, which is not necessarily the best thing. I want it to match. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, so I'm going to take one of my popsicle sticks, and I like to pour the hardener into the actual part A resin because it's so thick that it's a lot easier to get the thinner hardener into the other cup than vice versa. So we're going to get all of it. Remember, it's got to be that 1-to-1. And these little cups, literally, I get them from the dollar store, so no worries. I'm trying to make this as cheap as possible. That way if you're selling, you want to make money. If you're not selling and they're just like goodies or trinkets for gift bags or anything like that, then of course you don't want to waste a whole bunch of money. Party favors, do a whole bunch of stuff for Valentine's Day, people's birthdays, anything like that. Now this is going to take 4 minutes to mix, and you can see how gummy it is right now. You'll be able to see it clear up in just a little bit. Okay guys, I think we've got it about as good as we're gonna get it. See how it's much more clear? Now it's got a lot of air bubbles in it right now, I know, but we're gonna get rid of those here in a second. Now the longer it goes, the thicker it's gonna get. About 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the resin. Some of them last about 45 minutes before they really start to cure, and then you really can't do a whole lot once it starts to get hard, because of course it's getting hard and it's harder to manipulate. Okay, so we're going to take our molds and we're just going to pour this right in. Now we're only going to get a little bit because we want like just the front. Let me show you this one that's finished. See how we have like half and half? That front layer is the only layer that we want for right now to get covered, because we're going to be putting the candies in. So just a little bit. And we're going to spread it all the way to the edges. I hope you can see that. All the way to the edges. Because if you don't, and those air bubbles get in there, into those edges, I don't know if you can see that, but we're getting it all the way. Second one, number 3, and number 4. Oh, that one doesn't have quite enough, so go ahead and give it a little bit more. All right, now we're still going to use the rest of this, don't worry. We definitely do not want to waste product, because this stuff can get expensive. Let me wipe my hands. Remember how I was telling you, don't worry about the air bubbles? We're going to take care of that? Well, we are. You can get anything, a lighter, one of these lighters, the little lighters. You can get a blowtorch for really big projects, but if we're just getting started, we don't really need all that. We just need this. All right. And you're just going to go around, and it actually brings up all those air bubbles and just pops them off. Don't leave it too long in any one spot, because you don't want to melt your silicone, of course, or warp the mold by any means. I'm going to let it sit there for a second. Let the other air bubbles come up, and we're going to go over it again. Because the heat, of course, heat rises. So the heat will bring all those air bubbles up. You want to make sure it looks like glass. Nice and pretty. Because even if you are an amateur at this, you don't want to look like an amateur at this, especially if you're selling these pieces. You want them to look phenomenal. And practice always makes perfect. I'm getting some more air bubbles coming up, so we're just going to hit that. So then I'm going to let these sit for about 10 minutes so that they can get nice and tacky, and then we're going to add candy. Okay, so now it's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to do this one more time. You can see that it's getting a little bit thicker, which is a good thing. So we're going to take our M&ms, the big ones first. Well, they're minis, but as big as we want them. And we're just going to put them in there. Try and make sure that your M is up. Remember, some of these molds are upside down, so it may not look like it's up just yet. Now the reason we wait for it to be tacky is because sometimes these things are very heavy compared to the resin. So it'll stick to the bottom and then everything's at the very floor of your candy, and then it doesn't look like it's floating, it just looks like it's pressed against the window, I guess you could say. You can make some that are all orange or all pink or all green if you wanted to. I mean, have fun with them. It's just candy. I like it when it's more of a random kind of thing, because unless you get the sprinkles that are just all one color, it's going to kind of mess up your aesthetic. Of course, for Christmas, you can do just red and green. I guess that's enough for that. I wish I had more yellow. Oh, there we go. More yellows. I don't want them all to be the same, you know, color scheme. I want them to be a little bit brighter too. Now, because this stuff is still tacky, I don't have a green one in that one, but it hasn't completely solidified, we can actually move them around, right? It's not fully done, so we're going to try and even this out so they're a little bit more spread out. And again, the resin is not going to smear them or melt them in any way, which is, I know, what some people worry about for real candies, and that's why they don't use real candies, because they're worried that they'll start to disintegrate when they get wet. But this is nothing like getting wet. The resin is such a thick liquid, and it's not going to start to melt your candies. So here's our sprinkles. And I'm just going to throw them in there. Now these are a little bit lighter than the M&ms, of course. They're itty bitty candies, so they won't sink quite as fast or as hard as the big M&ms will. Now as your resin dries, sometimes it comes to the center, so you always want to check back on it and make sure nothing's getting a weird shape or looking odd, because as it's curing, you can always go back in and kind of spread things out and manipulate it, which is fantastic. I like it like that. That's why resin is such a great medium to play with, because you can manipulate it. You can kind of make it to what you want it. So now that we have the base designs down, we're going to lay in the popsicle sticks. Now when I'm laying in my popsicle sticks, I have to be very careful, not because I twirl them in there, and I don't want to mess up my candies. Oh. Great. So now all we're going to do, once it gets a little bit harder, because if you start pouring resin in this, wherever you pour is just going to move all that candy out of the way. So let's give it some time, get a little bit harder, and then we'll pour the back on it. Now, I'm going to set these aside because I do have one that's done. Now, if you can see, it's not shiny at all because this mold is not shiny, but it's extremely cute, very hard, and none of my candies have melted or anything like that. The back is shiny because that's how resin cures, is nice and shiny, but the front is not because of, like I said, the mold. Some molds are shiny, so you don't have to worry about and do this step, but some don't. So, while we're waiting on those, I'm going to get an artificial hair paintbrush and just kind of paint over it with the resin. And it's going to instantly give you that shine. can see that. See in the light how it's a lot shinier on one side than the other. I get extremely cheap brushes because you need some serious acetone to wash this out of a brush. No ma'am. I'll just throw it away because it's like I can get a paintbrush at a dollar store. I can get a set of paintbrushes at the dollar store actually, and then I don't have to worry about it. And then it nice and clear all the way around, because then it starts to look like they're floating. See, and you can actually see the two layers, the one with candy and the one without. It's getting really shiny, very pretty. But actually when I'm done with these, I put them on like cookie paper, like a cookie sheet paper, and then they don't stick at all, and they don't ruin my table either. Okay, now you can let it dry just like that. I'm going to put just a little bit more. That way when it cures, it doesn't have quite so much of a texture, like the brush texture. So that's pretty much it. You have this cute little lollipop made out of real candies, not too expensive, perfect for accessories, making keychains, or you can just wrap them with candy bags and give them to people as gifts. Super fun, super cute, super easy, and you can brag about how crafty you are. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you enjoyed my channel. Go ahead and like or subscribe if you want to be a part of this little revolution. I really hope you guys will stay and join me for the next one. Thanks. Bye guys.